As I sat in my room, the sound of my mother's voice arguing with my stepfather echoed through the walls. I could hear the frustration in her tone, the desperation in her plea for him to understand. It has been like this ever since my father passed away, leaving us with nothing but a mountain of debt and a shattered family. My father had been the pillar of our household, the one who held us together through thick and thin. But when he died in a tragic accident, everything fell apart. My mother, Aduni, was left to pick up the pieces of her own, struggling to make ends meet while raising me, Adesola, on her own. It was during this time of financial hardship that my mother met my stepfather, Akin. He seemed like a godsend to us at first, offering to help us out of our financial troubles and promising to take care of us. But as time went on, his true colors began to show. Akin was controlling and manipulative, using his money as a weapon to keep us under his thumb. He would berate my mother for the smallest thing, belittling her and making her feel worthless. And as for me, he saw me as nothing more than a pawn in his twisted game. One night, as I lay in bed trying to drown out the sound of their argument, I heard a knock on my door. It was my stepbrothers, Tunde and Femi. They were Akin's sons from a previous marriage, and they always made me feel uncomfortable with their glaring gazes and suggestive comments. But that night, their intention was clear. They pushed their way into my room, their eyes filled with lust and malice. I tried to scream to fight back, but they were too strong. They pinned me down, tearing away my clothes as I struggled against them. And in that moment, as they violated me in the most horrific way, I lost not only my innocence, but also a piece of myself that I will never be able to reclaim. The days that followed were a blur of pain and shame. I couldn't look at my mother in the eyes, couldn't bear to see the disappointment and betrayal written on her face. She had trusted Akin to take care of us, to protect us, and he had failed us in the worst possible way. But as much as I wanted to tell her what had happened, to seek comfort and solace in her arms, I couldn't bring myself to do it. The shame and guilt weighed heavily on my shoulders, crushing me under this unbearable weight. And so I offered and I suffered in silence, the memory of that night haunting me like a ghost. Tunde and Femi continued to torment me, their taunts and threats a constant reminder of the horrors I had endured. But one day, as I sat in my room, staring blankly at the wall, a spark of defiance ignited within me. I refused to be a victim any longer, to let them control me with their cruelty and malice. And so I made a decision I would confront them, face them head on, and demand justice for their crimes they had committed against me. It was a risky move, one that would backfire in the worst possible ways. But I was willing to take that chance to fight for my dignity and my right to be heard. As I stood before Tunde and Femi, my heart pounding in my chest, as I told them that I would report them to their father for the evil they have committed, they said I should go ahead, that their father will support them. I further threatened to take the matter to the police, but they said if I do, I should consider my life at stake. The next day, I took the matter to report to my stepdad, who supported his evil sons. So, in my plans, I decided to take the matter to the police. On my way a few days later, Tunde and Femi accompanied me to a friend's birthday party. On our way coming back, I did not know they had an evil plan for me. They came down from the car and took me to a lonely part, and there they beat me to death and abandoned me on the unknown. To them, they didn't know I survived. I was rescued by a stranger who took care of me and nursed me back to life. But the problem was that I developed amnesia from the beating I received that night from my evil stepbrothers. The stranger's name was Chima, and he was a caring and compassionate man. The doctor said that in time I will regain my memories, so Chima decided to give me the name Joy. When I regained fully, I offered to work for him in his house as a house help, but he refused. He rather sent me to school and I graduated with good grades. I became a computer analyst who got a good job offer. As time progressed, Chima and I fell in love and we decided to get married. After our extravagant wedding, we employed a maid who came to us as an elderly woman. The elderly woman was hardworking, always keeping the house super clean and taking care of my children. Even when I give her days off to rest, she would still insist on working. It was one fateful day that when she bent to clean the room, I saw a birthmark on her arm. I quickly recognized that birthmark to be that of my mother. I confronted her and we got to know that I was her lost daughter, whom she had been looking for years. With tears in my eyes, I narrated how my evil stepfather and brothers maltreated me and what my evil brothers did to me. She, on her own part, told me that those evil people later met their doom, and as I got missing, they did not even care to look for me. She searched and searched for me for years, but to no avail. Despite that, she stayed in the evil marriage where she was maltreated. She explained that Tunde and Femi kept living their reckless lives that led them to have a ghastly motor accident that led to their death. And when their dad got the news of their death, he collapsed and died instantly. Her husband's family came immediately and chased her out of the house, leaving her with nothing. So that's why she resorted to doing a housemaid's work. I explained my own version of the story that led to my disappearance, how Tunde and Femi accompanied me to a birthday party. On our way returning, they took me to a lonely path and beat me to death. But as God will have it, I survived and I was saved by a stranger who took care of me and took me to school. And finally, we got married and God blessed us with kids. My mother cried and cried. And when my husband came back, I told him that it was my mother and I introduced her to her grandkids and they all hugged it out. I hope you did enjoy this story. What a wonderful story, but a sad one. But it has its own lesson. The evil that men do always leaves